episode 2 of the Scratch at 50 podcast. In today's podcast, we are going to dive deep into whether golf has reached its distance limit. Is there now any tech available out there to us as amateur golfers which is going to give us some real extra yardage? I've tried all different types of tech, all different types of clubs. I've been to fittings, I've used shafts, everything. I'm going to tell you what my results have been. But really, can we get extra distance out of technology, or is it now all the same? Let's get cracking. So just before we start, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who got involved in episode 1 of the Scratch at 50 podcast. I really was absolutely delighted with the amount of comments and people who got involved in the conversation. And that is what these podcasts are about, is to bring up some topics. We're never all going to agree on everything, but please get in the comments. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe, hit that like button. It really does make a difference. And it'll make sure that you don't miss any podcasts in the future. So, is golf technology maxed out? I personally think it's been maxed out for a long, long time. So this year, I started my season with my good old, trusty Ping G425 Max driver. I have had this driver now for 3 years. I wasn't fitted for that driver. Many people are very surprised that I have a regular shaft in that driver. I have stiff shafts in almost all of the other clubs in my bag, so immediately that shouldn't make sense. But for me, that driver feels right. I like the way it feels through the ball. It's extremely consistent. So why would I think about changing it? Now, some of you out there would say, well, actually, Craig, if you went and got properly fitted for that driver, you might actually find some extra yards. And there might be an element of truth in that, because I'm going to get into a PXG driver fitting that I had that did have some quite interesting results. But let's go back to the start of the season. So I started with the G425 Max. Then I saw all of the hype about the G430 10K. And I must admit, everyone was waxing lyrical about this driver. And I'm a big fan of Ping drivers, okay? Because for me, forgiveness and consistency and bringing your dispersion down is always going to be more important to me than actually trying to find an extra 10 yards. But obviously, if you can find an extra 10 yards and keep your dispersion good, then that's obviously going to be the holy grail. And the reviews on that G430 10K were so good that I decided to just go out and get one. I went out and got one, and I got it in the identical shaft to what was in the G425 Max, which I know suits me well. And that G430 10K is it's a fantastic driver. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Now, I did do a video that you can go and watch on the channel where it did actually turn out that for me, there was a bit of a right bias to the G430 10K. And then when I put that video out, which has been one of my most successful videos, a load of people got into the comments and said that they had also experienced a right bias. Now, as I said in the video, this wasn't an off-the-planet right. This isn't a destructive right. It was just that everything was like down the right side of the fairway or in the right sort of semi-rough and quite a bit in the rough. Hardly any were down the left-hand side whatsoever. Now, some people did comment on that video and say, well, how can taking one side of the golf course out of play be a bad thing? And there's definitely an element of truth to that, without a doubt. But for me, on my golf course, there are some holes that turn right to left, and actually I need to feel like I've got a driver that I can hit down the left, or I can try and turn around the corner. And with that G430 10K, I never felt like I could do that. So I didn't feel like there was any real advantage with that driver, and it certainly wasn't going any further. It was just pretty much the same as my 425 Max. So in the end, after flirting with it for a little bit and having a little bit of an affair with it, met up at a few hotels, I decided that, no, this is, going to come to an end now. I've enjoyed it while it was happening, but I'm actually going back to my old faithful Ping G425 Max. And as soon as I went back to it, I knew I'd made the right decision. I was delighted with it. You know, I was still hitting it really well, really consistently. And when I wanted to hit one down that left side where I needed to, I felt like I could do it. Whereas with the other one, I just felt like I was lacking a bit of confidence that that club and the technology in that club was going to allow me to do it. So then, late in the season, as a lot of the regular viewers know, that I go out to see my brother who's out in the States. He's a full-time professional caddy over there, and he organises some amazing golf for me. And in the autumn, or the fall to you Americans, he is up in Philadelphia, and I get to play places like Merrion East and Aronimink and Applebrook and, you know, just some phenomenal golf courses. But also when I'm in Philadelphia, I've got to know the guys at PXG Philadelphia, their fitting studio, their fitting shop that they have there, which is absolutely an amazing facility. Again, you can go and see these videos on my channel right now. And we did an iron fitting, and then we did a driver fitting with their new Black Ops driver. Now, I am a big fan of PXG irons. I have used PXG irons now for probably about 6 or 7 years. But I'd never really been enticed by their hybrids or their 3-woods or their drivers. I'd never tried them, but I just never felt the need to really go and try them, to be honest with you. So I was interested to get properly fitted up with a PXG driver that was boasting quite a lot of, you know, big technology. I mean, all the manufacturers boast about their technology, don't they? So Larry, who is the, you know, the specialist fitter at that facility for PXG, is an absolutely fantastic, one of the best people I've met for fitting you up with golf clubs. And he always definitely maxes me out completely, whether we're doing irons or whether we're doing drivers. And, you know, I was really surprised actually how much, first of all, I liked the PXG driver at address. I thought the aesthetics of it were really nice. When I was swinging it, it felt really nice. I felt like, you know, I felt straight away like I can hit this golf club. He immediately put me in a stiff shaft. All of his metrics were saying that I should definitely be in a stiff shaft. And if you watch that video for the driver fitting, you hear Larry say to me, when I say about the regular shaft in my Ping, he says, look, hey, because obviously I had to hit my Ping first to get a benchmark figures. And he said, look, Craig, you hit that golf club incredibly consistently and incredibly well. He said, but I just think I can make some of these parameters a little bit better and eke out some more yardage. And after trying a few different weights and quite a few different shafts, we did find a specialist shaft that seemed to suit me really well. And we did achieve some extra club head speed, around 3 miles an hour, which was equating to about 8 yards. The dispersion was still pretty good. And yeah, I must admit, I could quite easily, I felt like, you know, if I could walk out with that spec there and then I would be quite happy to use that driver. But that driver is $800. Now, I'm not being funny. That's $100 per yard. Now, quite honestly, is, you know, 8 yards going to make any massive difference to my golf game over my current G425 Max? And am I willing to pay $800 to gain those yards? And this is what the manufacturers are basically pinning everything on. You know, we're going to get to January soon, and all the new drivers are going to get launched again, and we're all going to be enticed by the new technology. You know, whether it's turbulators on the top, or it's a carbon face, or it's a carbon crown, or it's a swing slot that's going to improve club. Whatever it is, we'll all be enticed and go, you know what, actually this could be the one for me. This could be the game changer. This could get me 20 yards. In my opinion, and please get in the comments and let me know what you think. I don't think that you're ever going to get any extra yardage out of any of these new drivers that are going to come out in January of next year. You know, they may be able to come up with something like Ping tend to have done with that 10K, where they may be able to make the forgiveness and the dispersion a lot better off-center hits. But I just do not think that any of those companies, TaylorMade, Ping, Cobra, Callaway, are going to come out with anything that is going to actually make the golf ball go significantly further than the driver that you've got in your golf bag right now. And I would say to you that if you've got a driver like I do with this one, that I'm supremely confident with, that I absolutely love, I would say that you are absolutely crazy to think about changing it. If you've got a driver and you've got a putter that you really like and really confident with and really works, they are like gold dust. Do not ever think about changing those two things until they completely fall out of favour. Okay, that is a golden rule for amateur golfers for me. So, yes, all the new drivers are going to come out soon. I am not going to be tempted this year. This year was the first time in a long time that 430 10K Ping driver did all of a sudden just make me think, you know what? This could be the one. This could be the one that's going to make all the difference. You know, and I went and paid 500 quid for it. And in the end, it didn't do anything that other one didn't do. And I don't think that any of the manufacturers are going to bring out drivers that are going to be any different this time. So, yes, back to the title of this video. In my opinion, golf distance has been maxed out. And I think it's been maxed out for a long time as well. Please get in the comments. Let me know what you think. Do you think that the manufacturers are going to come up with something that's going to be a game changer? Or is it just going to be them trying to sell us their new driver, try and make a load more money out of us, and actually their new drivers aren't going to perform any better than their previous drivers, or even possibly their drivers from 2-3 years ago? Because I think it's been maxed out for quite a long time. Okay, that's it for this podcast. Please get in the comments, get involved in the conversation. That's what this is all about. And I will be back next Thursday with episode 3. I have no idea what that is going to be about. I want to try and keep these podcasts as current about things that are going on in the world of golf right now. So if something comes along this week that is interesting to talk about, then that will be the subject of episode 3 of the Scratch at 50 podcast. So until then, I will see you in the next podcast.